I just drove up from Colorado Springs. It is awesome up here. I can't wait to get home and tell everybody about it. Just kidding. They already moved to Bozeman. They already moved to Bozeman. But no, I live there with my wife. We're in a non-traditional marriage. We still enjoy each other's company. She still finds me attractive even though I swim with my shirt on. I prefer to make love with my shirt on as well. It can get a little awkward though because she'll spend good money on some lingerie and then I just kind of like shuffle in my Winnie the Pooh outfit. My poor dog's in the corner like Eeyore. Don't worry, this won't last long. But no, we have a good marriage. She does get upset at me about one thing though. She works with kids, she's great with children. She thinks that I don't like them. But she doesn't understand that I can't talk to them the way she does. Like I can't just walk up to a random child at a baseball game and start saying things like, "That's a pretty dress." Right? Like I'll go to jail. Like, "How old are you?" Like, I've seen my wife do this to children in public. But we do have one son. He's Gen Z. He lives on his own. He's grown up now. But I like to mess with them because they're all so anxious. So like, middle of the day on a Wednesday, I'll just start texting them things like, "Please call me. ... We need to talk. ... It's about your mom." No, I'm just kidding. But I think one of the funny things about Gen Z too is that for a while, all of their trends seem to be doing completely normal things without using their cell phones. And they called it raw dogging. Back in my day, raw dogging was how you became pro-choice. Another fact about raw dogging is that everybody's mom has done it, at least once. But I will cut Gen Z some slack on one thing. The Gen Z stare, I think that's kind of BS. I'm a bartender. I'm able to accomplish the Gen Z stare. I think anybody can do the Gen Z stare. All it takes is three things. You just need a 100 milligram edible, a minimum wage job, and boomers staring at you across the counter, which does happen to me a lot as a bartender. Being a bartender is one of my favorite customer service jobs I've ever had because I get to slowly poison the customers. They think it's their idea, and I make pretty good money. It's kind of like Monsanto, or ExxonMobil, whichever you prefer. But before bartending, I had another career completely. I was actually a drug dealer. It's different though because alcohol is liquid, drugs are solid. But that came to an abrupt end when I sold drugs to a cop twice. And I actually ended up becoming a convicted felon. Which isn't that bad though, because it's actually insanely easy to get out of destination weddings now. But, when I got my felony, I was in my early 20s, I was a young man. My life spiraled out of control. I put on a ton of weight. I was in and out of court all the time. Just got really toxic with the women in my life. And I realized that if I didn't like turn things around and start making some better choices, that there was a solid chance I could end up serving like 48 years in the White House. But no, honestly, politically, I'm an independent. I like to make fun of both sides. I think one of my favorite people that I like to make fun of are the I don't really pay attention to politics people. They've always reminded me of like the people that start asking questions halfway through the movie. And you're like, "Oh, you know that talking part at the beginning when you were scrolling? Yeah, that was an election, and this is the world we all live in now, so I appreciate it." But deep down, honestly, I just want Republicans and Democrats to come together, start working together more, and start crossing the aisle like they did on that plane to that island. But no, seriously, this whole political situation has kind of been bad for my mental health. And you know, it's actually it's really been really bad for my mental health. And I don't like it when comics kind of come on stage and use their time to trauma dump and use it as therapy. It actually makes me like really, really upset. Like my therapist thinks it might be a problem. But I was recently diagnosed with PTSD. PTSD is a cool one because like in the moment that your trauma is happening, your mind tells your body, "You got this, everything's gonna be fine, you're gonna get through this." But in like 6 months, you're gonna be at a child's birthday party, at a Chuck E. Cheese, a balloon's gonna pop, and you're not gonna be invited back. But I think, when we were talking about boomers earlier, I think they actually got a bad rap for their aversion to mental health therapy and services, because you got to think that when they were coming up in the 50s and 60s, seeing a mental health professional meant that a doctor was going to drill 2 small holes in the front of your head and start fishing around in there with some chopsticks like he's trying to get the last piece of shrimp out of an udon noodle bowl. It was called a frontal lobotomy. The last one was actually performed in California in 1967. So, kind of take it easy on the boomers when they say they don't want to go to therapy. I think another thing, too, that they get a bad rap for is, I think boomers get a bad rap for how they raised us. And I think that's unfair because I can say with absolute certainty that they did not raise us. I don't know what they were doing, but it was not to raise children. I had a house key when I was like 3. Yeah, my mom was a boomer. She's also a cat lady. Not because she owned a lot of cats, mostly because she used to just leave us home alone for like days at a time. Like 3 cans of tuna, saucer of milk. But my dad was my superhero. And I know a lot of people like to say their dad was their superhero, but my dad really was my superhero because he had a secret identity. During the week, my dad was like a mild-mannered Air Force accountant, but on the weekends, he would like pop out of the closet covered in glitter, ready to hit pride. And I didn't figure it out until I was like 15 years old, right? I thought everybody's dad had Playgirl magazines. I was just like a dumb Lois Lane trying to put the pieces together. But I think, it actually only became awkward twice in my dad's life. And those were both when he was in hospice at the end of his life. He asked me to do a couple things for him. First one was to delete his porn collection. We're talking about a 65-year-old account, so these are still images and files on a desktop computer that have like file names like 2008 taxes.butts. The other awkward thing was he had VA benefits, and they weren't that great, so I had to help with the home health care, and actually I had to give my dad a suppository. Yeah, that's about the reaction I had too. And it was a really awkward moment for both of us too, because during the process, he kind of looked back at me and we locked eyes, and we both realized that this was the last time a man was lovingly going to place something in his ass. But honestly though, as I traveled around doing comedy in different places, I've talked to a lot of comics, and it's pretty common that they start doing comedy after a parent dies, usually their father. And I started thinking about what that conversation was, like maybe this is just like one last dad joke. And it just kind of made me think of like how it went. And I think it would kind of something like this. It'd be like, son, yes, father, I need you to do something for me. Yes, father, anything. I need you to perform stand-up comedy. All right, Dad, I'm not that funny. Yeah, I know, but I need you to do this for me. Okay, well, will I get rich? Well, no. All right, will it make me popular with the opposite sex? Also, no. All right, well, listen, I need you to do this because I would bet going with all the other dads in hospice. And if you don't perform stand-up comedy before their kids do, I'm going to have to wear a ghost dress until the Colorado Rockies win the World Series. And that's why I always do my full set, even if it's an empty room. You never know whose ghost parent's going to be in attendance. My name's Joey Bronner Jr. Thank you guys so much.